to yet another episode of the RBJ Talk Show. We are in the thick of this quarantine situation, and something that I am definitely dealing with, as I know a lot of other parents are with, is that for the first time since she was a year and a half, my daughter is with us all day long. And I should always preface it, I live with my co-parent, former wife, best friend, great friends, roommates, all good. But it's the two of us who are working a lot. Like we both, thank goodness, so grateful. We are super busy with our businesses and jobs, and we have this amazing ball of energy, just Tasmanian deviling. I'm gonna make a verb out of it, like in and out, right? So today I have one of my favorite people, Miss Michelle. Michelle, how do I say your last name? Flat out, like
Pegues.
Pegues. Okay, so Michelle Pegues, who has created a really cool yoga for kids program. And so Michelle, before we get into everything that you do and all that, help me. Help me. What do we do? Do you find that a lot of parents are struggling having their kids at home all day long?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're used to having our own space, our own time to focus on what we need to get done during the day, and that becomes all of a sudden really difficult when you have a kid all of a sudden, hey, can you get me this? I'm hungry, I'm bored, do this with me, play with me. Yeah, it's a whole new dynamic now. And not just for us, but for them too, because they're used to having a schedule all day, every day in school. They're being directed, they're being told what to do minute by minute. And now they're just set free with, out that. And so they've lost their direction. They have no outlet, for all of their energy. Yeah, it's a whole new world for parents and kids, for sure.
You're so right. You're so right about energy. Again, and I feel awful. I feel so much guilt. So there's two energies going on. There's this guilt. I feel like I'm a bad parent because I'm trying to work so that not all the financial pressure falls on my co-parent. And the same token, I want to be there for my child, and I can't be, but I have to be. It's the amount of guilt is one certain amount of energy, and then their continuance. I don't know if that's they're continuously being here. That's a whole other energy, right? I know you talk a lot about being present. I found that I don't want to be present. I want to be 6 months from now. Hopefully, when we're out of this situation, or hopefully 6 weeks or 6 days from now. You know what I mean? Have you seen that be a big issue for people? Is that a running away from being present because of that intense energy?
Yeah, well, I guess I would tell you, to take advantage of this time. I know that sounds kind of surface yeah, yes, right? But it's not. I mean, so I think you have to focus on the moments in time instead of looking at the whole picture the whole day, oh my God, I've got to do this and there's all of this going on. If we can just focus on little pockets of time, I think that's really helpful. So what I've been doing with my son is it's okay, for 20 minutes, mommy really needs to focus right now on this, and you can do XYZ while I do that. And then after those 20 minutes, me and you, we're gonna have our time. And then that gives them something to look forward to, that together one-on-one focused time, where if they don't have that and they don't know that it's coming and when it's coming, then they're still searching for it, grasping for it, and that's when they're going to be constantly tapping on your shoulder more. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense because, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. We have to create some kind of structure of time right now, right? Because I know a lot of people have been joking about it, that it's April, it could be August, it doesn't matter. We could,
right.
The days are blending together. It's going fast, but it's also abstract. Tell me if this happened to you. I woke up yesterday going, what day is it? I literally, and I'm good about that. And I was it doesn't matter.
I've been there all week long.
What is it? How did that show up for you?
I mean, it's just literally been okay, what is today and what do I have going on? Like, I have to look at my phone and like, okay, today is Tuesday, you know, today is Wednesday, this is what I'm doing today, this is my goal for today, you know, that I have to get done. But yeah, like every day is the same right now because the kids are home, everybody's at home. It's like every day's a weekend, but we still have all these responsibilities to do, and we're not used to putting those things together. Like, we're not used to working on the weekends, but it feels like there's, I don't know, it's a wacky place to be, for
Well,
sure.
as you're saying that, like, and again, like I love that you're bringing it back to chunks of present, like being present for chunks of time, or creating chunks of time, just segmenting time in general to feel like, okay, this is what I have to do right now. I don't mean to get like all over the place here, but like, you know, there is like what you're saying really makes me, or it really helps me address that. Like, I feel like that I've had an identity lost because of that. Like, when I don't know the days, when I don't, like you said, like we'll work on Saturday. I mean, those of us with our own businesses, like we work like all the time, right? But like, but you're right. There's just so much confusion and blurred lines at this point that like time used to be, all right, I have 8:30 to 5 p.m. to get all my work done, and then I pick her up from daycare,
Right.
or whatever, right? That's out the window. So I don't have that identity of like, I work in these hours, I do this, this is who I am. Then it's, I know who I am on Tuesday, and I know that Saturdays I get tired, so my emotions did. Now it's all blended. So how do people, like, what would you say, like, what would be a way to ground yourself, and fucking like find an identity again, like or create a new identity, or how does present and being, how does the lack of being present inform identity? You know what I mean? That's all. I feel like I asked you 17 questions just now.
Well, I'm going to do my best to extract something from that that spiel you just gave me. Um, I guess I would say when, so if you want to really like form identity, find identity in the moment, that's what you have to focus on, is the moment. Um, you know, you're talking about losing the structure of our workday, um, and losing your identity within that. And you're right. Like, we do identify with our day to day, like, this is what I do. I get up at this time and I go to my job and I do XYZ, and then I have lunch, and then I, you know, meet with clients, and, you know, and we do become very identified with that. And so I think if you can make some semblance of a schedule at home, that's going to be really, really helpful. But with kids at home, I mean, that schedule has to remain loose. You can't really form an identity in it. The only thing you can form an identity in right now is the present moment, I believe. And that's literally just, okay, right now, what do I have control over in this moment? Like, what can I do to make this moment productive? And you just literally moment to moment, and you schedule those small blocks and make sure that you're communicating with your family, you know, your plan for that structure. And no, it's not always going to go perfect. They're not always, oh, daddy said, you know, 5 more minutes, you know, and that's okay. But you do the best you can with that time.
That's great. That's a great, that like, well, because you know, you hear a lot of like a big part of the show. I always wanted to combine kind of my craziness with the personal development world that I'm involved in as a coach, and just I'm around so many people like you that are so talented and smart. And I loved how you kind of framed and housed the moment, because I think prior to me being involved with personal development people, like the people would talk about being present, and I was so scared of it. I had anxiety disorder. I thought I was just Jewish. Ends up it's like a thing. I had anxiety disorder. No offense to Jewish people. I'm just saying. Um, I am Jewish though. The point is this: is that the moment, to be present, to be in a moment, I didn't understand it because I felt I had no control over anything. I liked how you just said the control is a response almost to what is right in front of you. So to me, I like that better personally than like, just let it go. Just let it go. Just relax into it. What the fuck? Like, I can't let it go. I like how you
Right.
said, look at what's right in front. You said it, right? Like, look at what's in front of you. What can you do right now in this moment? And that is control in and of itself, right? Would you say that's a fair assessment of how you said it? Or
Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, because the present moment is really the only thing that we have. I mean, the past is gone. The future doesn't exist yet, right? You know, this is what the Buddhists teach over and over and over, the Buddhist monks, you know, and that's the whole premise of mindfulness is the present moment is the only thing that we actually have, right? And so you have a choice in every moment how you want that moment, what you want that moment to look like. You know, like, am I gonna focus on my child right now and give them one-on-one attention, or am I going to, you know, focus on my work, or, you know, and then of course there's all the slew of emotions that come along with each of those things, and you also have the choice to deal with those in that moment.
well, we have choice. We have agency.
We do.
It's so easy to forget that, right? I have to confess. So you're saying about like that sometimes we don't honor like what we're saying to our kids. Like we're like even when we want to, but we're like, I'm set 5 more minutes. Like I know I said 5 more minutes, but I got to finish this. Last night, I love singing. And I haven't like I don't like during the beginning of the week I'm so busy I don't get to sing. And last night I was like it was like 8:30. No, it was like 8:45, and like my daughter should be in bed by this point. Carrie, my co-parent, she had to work. So I was like, my daughter's sitting in my room with me, and I was like, I don't know why, but I was like, let's create like a piano bar situation. I was singing piano bar music, like Walking in Memphis. I was singing Billy Joel stuff, and I was so happy. And I kept going, one more song, one more song. All right, this is the last one. This is the last one. I'm gonna close it out, and I'm like doing like Elton John, like your song, and I was so happy, and I felt like I didn't have control, you know, but like I did. I fucking did have control. Like I was controlling. I wanted more, and like that was the one selfish thing. I'm sure there's more, but like in my mind, I felt guilty about it this morning, and I felt guilty about it last night. But ultimately, it was my choice. I wanted more. For me, that was self-care, right? So even in that moment where I'm like, oh my God, it's 9 o'clock. She's gonna have a meltdown. She had a little meltdown for sure. I mean, she was happy though. She was singing along, so that was good. And then when she was done, she left, and then I was like, okay, I'm really done. And then, but we still have a choice, right? We could still take care of ourselves. We could still be there for them. And like, do you find that a lot of people are having a hard time, like I did, forgiving themselves for self-care?
Yeah, I mean, I think that self-care is something that people they feel guilty for, because they feel like we've been taught that it's like it's a privilege. It's something we have to earn. We have to, oh, if I get this done, then I can have this. You know, if I do this, then I can do this special thing, right? But self-care is really like it's super important. It's not. It shouldn't be a privilege. It should be like a part of your regular routine in order to maintain your sanity, your mental health, you know, because if you're unhappy, if you're stressed out and pissed off all the time and you're depressed, you know, you can't function. You're no good at your job. You're no good for your family. You're responding negatively to your kid. You can't, you know, you can't properly respond and function the way that you need to, that you could do if you were taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. So let me ask you this, Ron. Why wait until 8:30 to start the piano bar? Like, why can't you make time? You have complete control over your schedule right now. Why can't you do snippets of the piano bar all day long? Why can't you just break out in song on a 10-minute break and like have fun with that and take care of yourself all day long and break up the monotony and the stress?
I, like, well, you obviously when you put it like that, like I can, right? But like, I just feel guilty about like yesterday. I really needed to sing. I had a bunch of editing that I needed to do, and I took a lunch break. So then I'm like, lunch break, and I just feel like, well, the more that I'm not working is the more that I'm not being there for my child, which is the more that the other parent has to pick up the slack. So if I go, if I lock myself in a room, we're in a 2-bedroom, but so like if I lock myself in my bathroom, let's say, and sing with the guitar, then that's 20 minutes. This is my process. This is my thinking, right? Then that's 20 minutes that's on her that my child is also not getting it. And then on top of it, you know that the minute I'm cooking and the minute I'm warmed up, Dada, Dada, I need something, right? So it's the ripple effect.
Is that story you're telling yourself? Is that a true story?
I mean, look, like, yes, right? But like, is the consequence of that story. Like, I'm doing a lot of math for everyone in the house. So it's like, it's the consequence of that story, correct? And I don't mean, I'm not mansplaining right now. I'm like,
right.
No, you got me. Like, no, that consequence is not accurate. Like that, but in my head, I swear to God, like, Michelle, like, this is so ridiculous. In my head, I go, that is going to bring everyone down. Like, that is going to make everyone crack. Me go, like, that's how important I am. That's ego, right? What is that? That's ego.
Sure. And you know, ego is everybody has ego, right? You have to have your ego. It's healthy to have an ego. It keeps you, you know, motivated and moving and functioning, right? But so I guess here's my thought. You're telling me you got to lock yourself in this room for 2 hours, crank this out, you know, so you can really focus on them later. But what if that time was more broken up? You're still getting the same amount of work done, but you're having more fun during the day and you're having more engagement with your child throughout the day if you break it up. Like when, let's say my son's doing homework and he's working for, you know, he's got half hour of math and he's getting frustrated and he's tired, and we take brain breaks, right? Adults need brain breaks too. We get stressed out and overwhelmed and bogged down, and sometimes we just need to stand up, shake it off, and have a brain break. You know, I tell him, get up. You know, he starts getting negative, and I tell him literally, I want you to brush it off. I don't like that. It feels icky. Brush it off. Like, get up, brush it off, brush off the stress, shake it out. We have this like big if you want to get technical here for a second, there's like this body brain connection, like the physiology. Stressed out and you're depressed and you're whatever, like your body starts to hunch down, right? But when you're feeling good and you're positive, you stand up straight, your chin is up. There's this whole like physiological thing happening between your body and your brain. And when you're at your desk all day and you're at your computer, what do? We tend to hunch our shoulders forward and all of this. Get up, stand up, be silly with your kid, you know, be a kid for a minute, jump around the room, dance, sing, to be a goofball, be a dork. It's fun, it feels good, and your kid is going to love it too. And then you're feeding both your need for self-care and you're feeding your child's desire for that interaction, that goofiness with you, and that. Do you know what I mean?
Like interplay, yeah. See,
yeah.
I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do right now. Get ready, the roller coaster we're about to. Honest to God, though, Michelle, that's why I love your class so much. Like, I'm not being cute right now. That's your class does that. So, like, for viewers, like you have a kids yoga class that combines yoga, mindfulness, exercise. Like, we do a lot of running. We do, like, I love it. A lot of storytelling. Honest to God, that's why, like, each week, whether I can be there or I get the video of it, like that, I long for that, because to me, that's you're so engaging. Now, I told you, like, my daughter, like, she's a boss. Okay, she's a little star. So she tells me, like, I'm gonna teach a yoga class. I'm like, go do it for sure. But right now we have to learn the techniques from Miss Michelle. So she, at least, like, your class is so engaging that she will pop in and out. She'll mostly sit and watch it, and then when she's ready, she'll be like, no, Dada, look, this is how you should do it. So she'll teach me how to do the snake, or, you know, the best is we run. Like, when you do the running thing through the jungle, in your class, like as part of the story. Like she loves that part, and we'll run around this room, and it's so engaging. But for me, that 30-minute class, I long for it because it contextualizes, and it gives me, in my head, I allow myself permission to play, to be silly, and to get fucking movement in my body, to get like actual exercise, you know? So I just want to say, like, sorry to make you uncomfortable, but I love your class for that reason.
I'm glad you like it. I mean, I feel like kind of when you were talking there, it came to mind that like, and I never really thought about it this way, but like in the journey of the class, it's almost like the roller coaster of our day, you know? We wake up, we omen, we like, okay, we're gonna do this, let's do this, right? And this is how we start our day. We're this laser focus, but then something happens, right? Inevitably, something happens. Here comes the Hissy Monster, right? And then we have to address that. And it's like our whole day is like that. And it's the journey of the class. I never clicked that the journey of the class is just like our day-to-day life. And, you know, ideally at the end of the day, we find that peace and that calm, and we close our day feeling good about what we've accomplished and where we've come, how far we've come that day.
That is huge.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. Like, oh yeah, that's so cool you made that realization. Because like, as you said that too, I go, and there's identity in that, right? Like, so I know like I'm in contact with so many clients like throughout the week, and every, like there's almost a consistent, this is my second language, I apologize. There's almost a consistent pattern in the waves that we're all experiencing, right? And for some people it's daily, and for others it's, they know they're going to be fine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday there's a dip, they feel better Friday. I spoke to a few people today that it's like Friday's their day where they're just like, oh, like the week. But there's identity in that, right? There's presence
Right.
in that, which is we're seeing consistency now. So how do you get, like, what is something that you would suggest to people that could help them be more present and to get to that, like you call it the secret garden, right? Where they can rest and they can be at peace. Like, what do you find is the best way to do that amidst the wavy gravy cycles that we're experiencing?
Again, it's coming back to the present moment. I think, among all the chaos, if you can just come back to the present moment, come back to you, not the outside world, come back to you, your breath, because really all you have is you that you can count on, and find that, just find that peace within yourself, because as we say, peace begins with me. Those are my magic words in the class, and it's true. All peace and all love, it all begins with you inside of yourself. You don't find those things in the outside world, you find them in you. And so if you can get in the habit of coming back to you, you'll start to, it almost feels like coming home. Like once at first we're not accustomed to this, and at first it doesn't feel like that. At first it's like, okay, peace begins with me, this is silly, like, okay, I'm focusing on my breath, those things. But after time, once you get used to it, it really does feel like you're coming home, and it really does bring you a sense of peace and calm and control. And you can really identify in that.
Like, I'm so glad you said the home piece, right? Because so I grew up with anxiety my whole life. My parents definitely have it. I feel comfortable saying on television, on Zoom here with people watching, and they'll admit it. And so the notion of a comfortable, peaceful home in that regards, my sister and I never experienced that. However, over the past few years, and you and I, like, we talk about this a lot, that like in our practices of personal development and of finding calm and stillness and presence, like we're so not woo-woo. Like you and I swear up a storm when we're talking, right? So it's like we're not woo-woo about it. But the notion of home, I
And
think
I'm not sure we should say that. I'm a kids yoga teacher. I'm not sure we should.
I should preface, I swear and you listen. Um, you know, so, but with, you know, the notion of home, I think for people that haven't experienced it, they go, what do you mean coming back home? Like, my home is not, like my internal home is not comfortable and it's not peaceful. And I think like, it's almost like it's a reframing of the word home.
Mhm.
Right? Or redefining the word home, right? How would you define that internal home that like you could say secret garden?
Was there a question in that?
Michelle, I love you so much.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm listening so intently, and then my dog hacks and it distracts me, and I'm like, oh crap. so we're gonna edit this
Sorry,
out.
okay. No, this is great. This is real. This is the medium now. How would you help someone redefine the word home? So when you're using it, I want to make sure that people, when they're watching this, people who might have anxiety, who might, especially now, compounded, they go, you know what? I've heard this idea of finding peace within. Peace begins with me. You said, again, you brought up choice. We can choose to be positive. I loved how you said almost like fake it till you make it. I've seen that my first year of getting out of like really bad financial state and bad emotional state. My first year, I forced myself to fake it till I make it. And that was in 2017 to 2018. And then 2019, I was like I had a rough month in July, and I was like, okay, this is a gift. And I was able to like actually embody it. This year, when this whole thing happened, I go, okay, all right. Like I was scheduled to have the best financial month of my life, and I was like, no public speaking. So what do I want to do? I was like, this is great. What an opportunity. I don't have to drive anymore. This is great, right? How do you, but that for me was faking it till I make it. How would you help someone? The question is, how would you help someone redefine what home feels like for them and the process of faking till they make it till the point, like paint the picture of what it looks like when you make it, when it does become part of your practice daily, when it is integrated in your body, that feeling of a positive, safe, secure home. I thought that was a really good question just now.
That is a good question. That's an excellent question. Yeah, I mean, typically we think of home as, you know, the place we eat, sleep, you know, shower. So, but you know, like you said, a lot of us aren't, uh, you know, growing up, a lot of people, they don't feel safety at home. They don't feel comfort at home. And so, um, we do need to redefine home in general. And you know, home should be a place where you feel safe and where you feel um, most at ease, and you're free to be your truest self. And I think so my mind's going in a million different directions right now with this, and there's so many ways I could take this. I need to rein it in. I guess where my mind started to go is, you know, even like when we're like growing up, I'll use myself as an example. I was very, very insecure. I was a very shy, timid, insecure kid, teenager, and it, you know, that transferred into my adult life. Um, and so all of this was new to me just, you know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I felt I didn't have home within myself. I was always looking for a home, like where am I comfortable? And it took a long time to find and learn that that home is within me. Um, and it started with really looking inside and being able to trust in myself, believe in myself, and just make the time for myself and to honor myself. And so something as simple as being able to stop yourself in the moment of, you know, in it, fury, rage, anger, we'll say, being able to stop yourself in that moment and to take a breath and go, hey, I can change how I respond to this. I don't have to react to this. I can respond to this instead. Like, learning that little piece right there really builds a lot of self-trust, self-respect, and a knowing of like of who you are. Like, it's hard to, this is hard for me to explain, but
You're
like
doing great.
I feel like just learning this little technique of emotional awareness and learning to respond versus react really builds a good foundation for your home. If we're talking about houses here, well, this is the foundation, and this safety net and trust for oneself. And then that will grow and grow and build to a point where you just know, you trust in yourself so much and believe in yourself so much that anytime there's something outside of you that's causing you angst, you can always come home and you'll know the answers can come from within instead of out there. And that's where home lives.
Dude, that's tight. That was so smart. I have to say, because I had a situation with you recently, I think it was last week, where I had something like someone angered me, and I was like, Michelle, the other day I fucking blah blah blah, and I sent this text and blah blah, and I was hoping that you'd be like, yeah, that sucks, man, or what they did was ridiculous, and you were like, well, if I was working with you, Ron, I would say, what's another way that we could have, emailed this person or whatever, right? And I was like, instantly, I shut up in that moment. I don't know if I did in life. Like, I think I probably kept talking, but in my heart, I remember going, oh, that's not me. Like, that reactive behavior was not me. It was how I was taught maybe as a kid or whatever, but like, I was like, that's not me. And in that moment, I felt like there was this disconnect from, like the actual like power source that it would be Ron Ben Joseph, and so you're right, like that helped me see like reaction is not you. Thereby, everything you're saying, if I'm hearing this correctly, the you part is you not reacting, but you being present, you like taking accountability or awareness of what's going on around you, and then choosing appropriately. That's you, and that is being present, right? So again, being present, abstract word when I'm scared of being present, because in present I was in pain a lot. If you separate yourself from the pain for a moment and look at what's really, like, look at the facts, that makes sense that would be you, right? That would be the real you in the fucking moment. The actual, this word moment, that is the moment. Everything that's going on around you and how you are aware of it, right? Does that make sense?
Right. Well, and I think that I asked you, how could you respond to them with compassion versus like the reaction of anger, which, I mean, yeah, that was a crazy situation. And, I think that would get anybody riled up. But the difference is, like, yeah, do we then react to that, or do we take a moment, touch base with who we are, and respond from there? And I think and that does it takes time, it takes practice, and it's something that we're not taught normally as kids, and that's why I do what I do, because as kids we're not taught these things. We kids have they have like zero impulse control, right? They just they're reactive beings. But if we can start teaching them this stuff early on, and if we can model it as parents, I think that's a huge part of it too. Because I mean, kids, they do what they see, right? So if we can model it as parents and we can start to teach them these things at a young age, it becomes second nature. The The problem is, as adults, we are so used to reacting because we've never been taught another way. I just now I'm losing all my words here.
Well, but that's what, yeah, like that's what I'm so honestly jealous of, which I tell you every week. I'm like, oh my God, like you have the finger on the pulse because you were able to create an artistic expression out of that very real need that you saw in life, not just the market, but like you saw as a parent, you saw as a former child yourself, you know, like used to be like you saw this great hybrid of like need and creation, and you've been able to, like I'm telling you, I just love your class so much because you're able to make it look effortless. Like you balance the scales of like mindfulness, the stuff that we weren't taught, with physical activity. It's genius. Like, what's your favorite part about doing the class?
Well, I guess I would have to say it's being silly and getting to, be let out the inner child that I felt so inhibited to let out when I was a child. Like when I was a child, I wasn't silly, crazy, funny, goofy because I was scared to be silly and I was afraid of being judged. And now I love myself so completely that it doesn't matter if you think I'm ridiculous. That's okay with me because maybe I am ridiculous, but I'm happy. And so that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, well, that's what makes your class, like I say, it's like, I don't know if I said this to you, but it's like, to me, it's like the Pixar of yoga classes, right? Because we started, we did the other one, like there's someone else that's like doing it and stuff, but it didn't engage us as much because for me it allows me that time to be silly with my child in context as well. And I'm a comic, so it's like in theory it's easy, but like when I'm on the other side of being told how to play with my daughter, she's 4, so she's very bossy. She's like, pretend this, pretend that, not pretend this, pretend this, do this, that. I told her, I'm like, dude, I don't like it because I'm my own creative force. Like I want to play with you, collaborate with you, but like being told what to do. When we come to your class, it's like Pixar because you're giving me an equal outlet. And so it's cool that like adults can experience that freedom that you've experienced as an artist, as a storyteller, as a yoga instructor, as a certified yoga instructor, I should say too. Like you're hella legit, So like it's really cool. You free up parents and kids at the same time. So we'll wrap it up by just like we'll do like a promo here. Like, what's the best way that people can find you and take the classes? I mean, there's so many classes now. Like, what's the best way that people can jump on the
you just froze up.
Oh, sorry. What's the best way that people can take this class?
You can find out more about my kids' yoga classes at myfamilytreeyoga.com, and you can find me on Facebook at Family Tree Energy Yoga.
Michelle, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Like, I feel like we got deep. We got into like how to create a sense of identity and by being present in the moment where everything's out of whack. We did that.
It's important right now. It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do, and ultimately, that's right. Like that's the thing that's going to get us through this is a sense of identity while structuring our moments.
Yeah. Well, and I think that people need to remember right now to give themselves a lot of forgiveness. Like everybody is struggling right now. Everybody is learning a new way to be right now. If you can just love yourself, forgive yourself for not being perfect, and just try. You're not going to remember to be mindful, every 15 minutes or something. You're not going to always remember to stop yourself and be mindful, and that's okay. It is a practice. Everything in life is a practice, and so just forgive yourself. Keep practicing. Heck, set reminders on your phone. Set it's my mindful minute. Hold on, wait a minute. Peace begins with me. Take a breath for yourself, and it's okay that you're not perfect.
That's huge. I'm literally like, I hate when hosts are like, I'm gonna do that, like, and then they don't, But like, I'm like, literally, I am gonna do it right now, like, setting the thing, Okay, I'm not gonna do it right now, but I will do it. That's huge, right? And then it's like on my phone, so I have to do it. Michelle, that was beautiful. Like, thank you so much for your time. I seriously, and sincerely like recommend this class so much. It's so fun. And like I said, true transparency, my daughter doesn't do all of it. I do all of it. I get a good workout. I get the core strength going. But it's we do it together. She's watching it because she's just as entertained by, you have all these characters like you talked about the Hissy Monster, and you have all these puppets and things. And it's just great, and it mirrors what we're going through. So it's art imitating life in a kids yoga class. So thank you so much, Michelle, for all that you do for us and for everyone. And you're the best. Well, thank you so much. We'll end it there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was fun.